Before we get stuck into this week's episode, just want to say a very quick thank you to Alt Cult, Rockstar Finance, Hydra Rehearsal Studios, and Squid Ink Screen Printing for their fantastic support. Now it's on with the show. Welcome to the Hard Rock Show. I'm Andrew.
I'm Tim.
I'm Brendan.
Brendan's back for the first time in a while now.
Yeah.
Details at the bottom of the screen, so make sure you're following all of our social media channels, especially for the stuff that doesn't make it into the TV episodes every week. Make sure you follow our YouTube channel. We also have Patreon sponsor packs out there, and for now, listen to
THRS Radio. Best radio station out there.
For a while, it's still on
for
there.
now.
For now, because we're making some changes in that regard, so stay tuned for more information on that coming up. This week is a normal episode for you. At the end of this month, being November, we'll have a 2-hour special on the bands that have toured here this year, which will be very interesting. But for tonight, we have an opening clip which we'll get to shortly. We have a hot topic on, I guess, bands responding to negative feedback from critics, quote-unquote, which is, ideal coming from us. We'll also have a review pool consisting of the latest from Warbirds, Tokyo Beef, and Terminal Zero. We'll have a classic review from Queensryche, as well as Temple of the Dog, and a new review from Firebreather. But it's time to kick it off. What's the... Go on.
Well, let's go with the boys from Ablaze.
Yeah.
About to, or they probably are, in Europe, right about
As
the
we
time
do
this
this
goes
year.
to where.
Yep.
So, yeah, they're giving it heaps, and good luck to them over there. And they're going with, Where's My Drink?
Right here. This week's hot topic is inspired by Rob Flynn and Steel Panther, believe it or not, which is probably not too hardest to hear in the same sentence too often. But Rob Flynn and Steel Panther have both sort of responded to negative feedback from fans and or critics. I think the other week you put Rob Flynn in the bin because he... well, you go on to it.
So basically, Rob Flynn released a song saying he doesn't care what people think, and then cried because people didn't like it. And then, yeah, basically.
And then Steel Panther said, the people that don't like their album, let's see you write a better song, and so on and so forth. And that's the general premise. I guess this is our chance to reply as critics, for lack of a better term, for what we do.
Yeah, true. And look, Steel Panther's argument is try and write a better song. Like, I get that, because it's not that easy. And we sit here and criticise bands that put their bloody heart and soul in the song.
Yep.
The funniest part of the Steel Panther is actually the Nikki Sixx one.
That's amusing, yeah.
Because we all know when Steel Panther do interviews, they do it in character.
It's like wrestling, folks.
Yeah. So,
Kayfabe is a word.
If you haven't heard, he sort of asked what singer would he like to bring back to life. This is Michael Starr.
Yep.
And he said Vince Neil. And the woman said, well, Vince Neil's still alive. He goes, not the Vince Neil I knew, like good Vince Neil back in the day. And Nikki Sixx apparently bit back and had a
He's
go.
bitten back. He's bit down hard.
And I'm like, Jesus Christ. If you're at the point of your career when you're taking what Steel Panther is saying seriously, it's time for serious
After
medication.
you've retired, by the way.
Christ almighty.
Yeah.
So, look, the whole thing, it's just people taking themselves too seriously. There's going to be critics. I've put music out there before. Some people like it, most people don't. I don't give a shit. Christ, it is what it is.
Yeah, the most amazing part about what you just said was putting your heart and soul into it and then talked about Steel Panther.
Yeah, I put a lot of effort into their shit. Come on.
Well, there's effort.
They're very good at what they do.
Effort and heart and soul.
Okay, heart and soul might be, dick and balls.
Two in the pink, one in the stink.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, so I also put Phil Anselmo as disappointment of the year last year. Because, he made a career of being a tough guy and then released a full album complaining about people on the internet. It's like, come on, you little bitch. It's very childlike. It's very, these people are mean to me. What are you doing? It's like, shut up. You're breaking the rock god vision that everybody has.
Wall is
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And, we've all written those dumb letters to people and those dumb messages to people, and then we delete them and then we write the actual thing. These guys press send.
Yeah.
And that's basically what happened. But what amazes me about the Anselmo record is that he didn't delete it. He wrote the whole thing out, recorded it, released it, and still thought it was a good idea.
And other people thought it was a good idea too.
Yeah, and then you wonder why he's playing Pantera songs on the tour for the album. It's because nobody fucking likes the new album.
Never exactly been the sharpest knife in the drawer, that old Phil, has he?
No.
Shit, if he sees this, I'm in all kinds of trouble.
Yeah, well, he's
Write a song about me.
Make you famous.
Oh, come on, make me famous, Phil. Please, I dare you.
I'll make you famous. Anyone seen Young Guns?
Yeah.
Oh, I think it's a bit silly when artists bite back. Now, when it's a legitimate critique, I've always said my point of view for what we do, which is honestly not taking that seriously. For one, we do it every week and we put our faces out there, so we are open season as far as people are concerned. We cop our fair share of flack too, and I'm okay with that. It's entertaining to me, to be honest.
They're the funniest ones.
I know. When people actually have a crack at us, I get amused. Like, it's entertaining. And that's not to be disrespectful to people's opinions, but it's just, for me, what it is, depending on the opinion. But the some of them are outright shockers. But the exactly right, Caesar. But for me, the point is that, one, if you love what you do enough, it shouldn't matter what anyone thinks about you anyway, for starters. Two, if someone says something you don't like and then you rise to it, you're only making their profile bigger. So, think 10 steps ahead as opposed to just biting down on it. But also, honestly, in this day and age, who gives a shit? No one cares. Like, we all sit here and spout off and do our shit week in, week out, and we know no one gives a fuck about us. That's the fun.
Yeah.
And if you're in a band, you put out an album, no one likes it, who cares? Did people buy it? Okay, cool. Then you got a fan base. Like, when people have bitten on us and said, you said something about a band I don't like, I've actually taken that as a big compliment to the band that is in question, because they've generated a fan base that's loyal enough to fight for them. And that's better than most people can ever say about anything in their life in that regard in the public forum. I don't think there's anything wrong with critiques. And at the end of the day, if you're an artist that believes in your art, then it shouldn't matter what people think of you anyway, because you're going to be doing it because you want to do it as opposed to wanting mass acceptance.
Well, critique's only opinion, isn't it?
That's
all it is. Just because I say it's bad
doesn't mean it's bad.
It means I didn't like it. That's it.
That's all it comes down to. If we like or don't like something, and at the end of every review we say, check it out for yourselves.
Yeah.
Because our opinion shouldn't form
other
people's opinions. It might. I don't know why, but it shouldn't. But the bottom line is that critics exist to critique. Yeah. There is an actual art form in putting words to something like
There's
that.
a difference between responding to critiques, though, and just responding to YouTube comments.
Which
is what Rob Flynn has done.
And Stu Pan, for that matter, as well. Yeah, no, don't respond to YouTube comments like that. That's just... all you've done is made someone really famous for fucking no effort whatsoever, so good luck to you in that regard. A genuine critique is one thing, but even then, like I said, if you love it, who cares? Because it should be about what you want versus the world don't like it. Who gives a fuck?
Yep.
There are 6 billion people out there. I'm sure someone liked it.
Every album is someone's favourite album.
It's also someone else's worst album.
Yeah.
One man's trash is another man's treasure, and all the other cliches you can think of. Anyway, over to you. Let us know what you think out there about artists biting back on what critics think of their latest work and general YouTube comments and stuff like that as well. This will be interesting. Over to you. Warbirds, Order from Chaos, and hopefully either last week or this week coming up, you might see them on the show as well. 14 tracks for 66 minutes. The debut album, at last, from Melbourne band, due for official release very soon when they got a few odds and ends tied up. Produced by Matt Robbins and the band at Colour Sound Recording Studio, along with the track Reality Check done by Chris Melko at Monolith Studios. One new single from this has been released so far in Freak in the Night. There have been previous tracks like Control, Reality Check and My Symphony, which are on this album. And a special thank you to the boys for giving a thank you to us in the album credits as well. So, cheers. Go for it.
Yeah, this is really good. I wish you didn't say that last part because now I feel like I'm being really biased. But no, this is sort of you've got that kind of modern rock style with a little bit of, the melodic rock thing and some grungy guitar tones thrown in, which is actually a real highlight. The guitar tone on this is absolutely monstrous. But without being over the top and fizzy, they managed to get that that nice balance going in there. And what it does, throughout this whole album, it really does counteract with the rhythm section, which really does have a nice groove going on throughout the whole thing. But all that, for mine, plays into a platform for Ant's vocals. Yes. For mine, that's the highlight of this thing. And I mean, there's great riffs all over this thing. There's great grooves, there's great guitar solos. But the vocals are really the highlight for this thing. Now, for the audience that generally watches this show and the sort of stuff that we know gets the most reactions, you know, and kind of going back to, you know, 80s and 70s rock, this is a band that people from this audience should check out, because I can almost guarantee that you will love this
anything
band.
From Zeppelin to Soundgarden.
Yeah. And if that sounds, if you watch the Kiss special we did a while back, you know, if you've watched, you know, the Zeppelin stuff and all the 80s rock stuff, if you're anything like that, you know, if you're a fan of those bands, this is a band that you should check out.
But it's contemporary.
Yeah, I do mean that. It doesn't sound... I know it makes it sound like I'm making them sound old, but no. My Symphony and Slave are my highlights. I actually gave it a 9.
Wow, cool.
Nice. This is supposed to be a debut album. It doesn't feel like it. They've obviously been on all of our radars for a long time.
Yeah.
And they've released a few EPs over the journey. And
well, we've had a lot of love for this band for a long time.
That's
across
right.
the board. On the
great
show.
band.
Great guys too.
This is a great payoff for me. For them to release this as an album, as a work of art, I think is incredible. They've done really, really well. I had the privilege of being at the album launch, and they played a lot of the new tracks live, and they were bloody fantastic. It was great. There's no news here. Again, we've been fans for a long time. These guys can deliver both in the studio and live.
Yes.
And that's one of the great... You know, the great tricks of being a great rock band.
It's the old pub test, I guess, for a band. Yeah.
Yeah. You were saying Ant's vocals stood out for you. His guitar solos stood out for me.
Solos
I love the solos on this. Sounds fantastic. Hats off to Matt at Colour Sound, because he smashed it out of the park in that regard. I think we all shot our wads when we heard My Symphony off the EP, but it still leaps out of this album for me. I think it's a fantastic thing.
The thing is, it was a throwaway track. It was an add-on to the EP, and it's like
they
this song just keeps on keeping on.
Yeah, I love it.
That's the track whenever they play it live too. For mine, that's the one I walk away.
Yeah, it's huge. Yeah. It's just a great rock album. Probably my favourite local release of the year, certainly so far. I think it's a ripper. I give it 9.5 out of 10. My Symphony, The Sleeper. I love that.
Okay,
that
cool.
Was Collider and Contain the Rage for me.
Finally, the album is here. It's taken a long time, and it's not their fault. They've had a lot going on behind the scenes, but finally it's here. I don't think these guys are capable of writing a bad song. I just don't think
I'm
they
sure
are.
if he put his mind to it, he could.
Okay. You can do anything. But fuck me, they've only gotten better as time has gone on. I don't normally like the addition of older tracks on a new album. I normally sort of like you're filling out things, but in this case it feels like the perfect, like you said, payoff.
Yeah.
The old wrestling term, it's the payoff of the whole build up to the pay-per-view kind of thing. That's what this is, and the old tracks being on this album feels like that to me. This is modern rock with a solid dose of all your classic favourite influences. Big sound for a three-piece, but they aren't afraid to use space either, so they let things just sit back and they let the bass and the drums do it, and they don't... They've resisted that urge to fill everything with noise as a three-piece, and they've just gone, let's just let the songs ring, and it works so well. One of the things I really love about this band is the lyrics. They are so well crafted, so well done. Ant's vocal delivery is fantastic, but also the harmonies on this are really good too. Album flow is fantastic. I love the energy and the tempo shifts on this. Each song builds and drops nicely, which also in turn makes the album do the same thing. This thing is so easy on repeat spins, it's not funny. Great hooks. These songs will stay with you. You'll be singing along to these after the first pass with not a lot of effort at all. This is so easy to get into. If you like rock music at all, like I said before, anything from Zeppelin to Soundgarden, this is for you for sure. Production, this could be the best thing I've heard from Colour Sound Studios, production-wise. I reckon this is up there. This is really good. I love the use of the space and the panning. The depth was good. The reverb, it's not too reverb heavy. They've just done enough to make things sort of really flesh out.
I'm looking forward to Cicada Stone's next album.
I am too. If they can do this with Warbirds, I want to hear what they do with Cicada Stone's next album. That's going to be really good. I mean, it's their own home. They should be able to, fuck me. Great tones across the board. But they've kept the edge. They haven't rounded it off. They haven't polished it to the shit house. It's still got the edge to it. It's still very good. Spoken about the vocals, you spoke about the guitar. Like, guitar work, fuck. Anth is one of the best.
Yeah.
I reckon he's actually underrated as far as lead guitarists in Melbourne go around. I reckon he's fucking well and truly up there. But the drums and the bass under that are the perfect platform for the vocals and the lead guitar to shine on this record. This is a band that's playing entirely to its strengths, and there are a lot of those strengths to be had. I hope they can really lock down their lineup now. So whatever's working for you, please try and stick it out, because these songs...
I think they have.
I would hope so.
They alluded that they had locked down the lineup.
Okay, well, here's hoping, because fuck me, when I saw them play after a week with the current lineup being together, they were good then. You saw them at the launch, and fuck, that's a while on now. If you've never seen them live, go and see them. They are fantastic. They will not disappoint. This is a release that should put this band right up there, as far as I'm concerned, in the conversation for the best bands, generally speaking, out there. This is a complete performance. It also serves to be the complete reintroduction to the band. So if you've never heard this band before, this is the place and time to start with this. If you, like I said, this is just great. I gave it a 10 out of 10. I cannot fault this one at all. Order from Chaos for the new tracks. That was my
it's a good track.
That's a good one. Collider, Freak in the Night, Bring Back Your Love, Contain the Rage, but every track is a winner. I didn't want to pick standouts from the previous ones, although My Symphony is always going to be a personal favourite of mine. Check it out for yourselves. Let us know what you think. Tokyo Beef, Stitched Up. 7 tracks for 28 minutes. Looks to be the 3rd album from the Queensland band, though the band have been around in some form or other since 2006. Released July 2019 independently, produced by Scott French at Love Stretch Studios. They have released clips in the past, but I don't think there's been anything from this album yet. And the funny part for this is they asked us to be kind when doing our review, which I don't think you have to worry, boys. You didn't have to worry, but go on.
This is raw and gritty rock with a punk edge. You know, to me, this sounds like it'd be a really good, fun band to be in.
Yeah,
and see live.
Yeah, it sounds like these guys are really enjoying themselves. I sort of, if you're looking for a sound, I went sort of Radio Birdman mixed with The Clash.
Yeah,
maybe with a splash of The Damned. Yeah, it's
Early
just,
Midnight Oil a bit.
Yeah, that too. Yeah, it's certainly it's got the pub. You can almost smell it. It's great. It's either going to be a compliment or an insult, depending on where you stand. It's meant to be a compliment, by the way. It's captured pretty damn well. It's a raw, edgy sound, but you know, I kind of like it. Caught the energy. I would like a bit more punch from the rhythm guitar, but I always think that because I'm a rhythm guitarist. So don't take that to heart too much. If you don't like the genre of the sort of punkier stuff, it will probably lose you. But if you do, and I do, I think you'll like it. This is good, fun, raw, rock, drink, fuck, all the good stuff that belongs in there. I have an 8 out of 10. The highlights were Gypsy Woman, Kamikaze Man, and Black Dog River.
Nice.
Yeah, this really does take you back to, you know, just good old punk rock, just cracking it up and going for it.
Yeah.
And the vocals aren't particularly great, but at the same time, I actually think that actually makes a song better. Same thing. Again, everything is captured really well, but mix-wise, the lead guitar was just cranked way up.
Yeah.
Having said that, I almost liked it better that way because it made but it gave him a kind of a unique sound and a unique voice. And then with the vocals again, everything, you know, it wasn't perfect, but I loved it.
To be.
Yeah,
it's not supposed to be.
No, if it was perfect, it wouldn't be as good.
No, it made it better. It's the Ozzy Osbourne effect. And it's just a fun sprint from start to finish. You just turn it up, and it was good. It was fun and enjoyable stuff. If it was cleaner or anything, it would have been worse. If anything, there were a couple of points where, you know, the drums were a little clunky at times, but I mean, that's a minor gripe, but overall, it was good. Stitched Up is my highlight just for giving me the mental image of an angry goldfish. 8.5 out of 10.
Oh, cool. You can tell this is from the Gold Coast for mine. It's got a certain feel about it. I don't know what it is.
No one's wearing shoes.
No, I can tell. Actually, yes. It's got a bit of the early Midnight Oil thing about it, which I thought was cool. It's rough and ready with a big dose of sort of like northern Aussie twang about it as well. Now, this is not meant for purists. This is meant to be a good time and a good time only. And you can tell that these songs, like you were saying, would be great in the bar setting. They'd be fantastic there. It's straightforward. This comes from the working class. It's meant to be enjoyed by the working class. It's the proverbial weekend warrior kind of stuff. And I, for one, fucking say well done to that. They've embraced it. They've doubled down on it. And I think that's perfect. The production's pretty straightforward. They've kept the live vibe, which is it suits this band really well. Not all are polished, but you don't want it to be polished. For the rough and ready style, there are some really good tones, particularly in the lead guitar tone. That was fucking cool. that tone is the diamond in the rough kind of thing, and it adds to the overall charm of this for mine. So you got this whole rough playing along kind of thing, and it's not rough. They can play. It's not like my critique is not of the performances. It's not even a critique. It's just the fact that you've got this one thing that really stands out and makes the charm of the rest of it sort of come along for the ride kind of thing. It's cool. Don't know if I'm making much sense, but to me, I enjoyed that part of it. Lots of gang vocals. The emphasis on getting punters to sing along with these songs is clear on that, and it works well. And when the punters aren't meant to be singing along with the catchy cries, you've got the sort of boogie stuff going on there where people can sort of dance or yell at this thing either way, and it'd be fun either. Like there'd be no... You could not see this band and not have a good time. No, I don't think.
Yeah.
You'd be in this room and it'd be infectious as fuck.
Yeah, party band.
There's a little twist on this though with the Foley work on Midnight Train. That was cool and shows a little bit more substance than what you might think when you hear this sort of stuff. And also the last track, the production shifted on the last track to be a really much more... It was funny because the last track was a closing and they're talking about, here's so-and-so from the band, he plays guitar. And that was meant to be the most live sort of setting song, but it was the most polished song production-wise. And it was a really weird thing. Fucking well done, because that got my attention really quick. I was like, hang on, it's not supposed to do that. But it didn't. It was good. It's not something I'll go to all the time, but I enjoyed the shit out of it. It was a good, fun little... Just put it on. It's a dumb, fun listen, and that's all it's meant to be as far as I'm concerned, and that's all it needs to be, and it should be enough to entertain pretty much anyone out there. 7.5 out of 10 from me. Midnight Train, Gypsy Woman, and Bad Seed, my standouts. Check it out and let us know what you think. Terminal Zero, Control, 10 tracks for 40 minutes. The second album from the South Australian band, released March 2019 independently, produced by Richie D.W. Norton. 4 promo tracks have been released so far in Chemicals, Control, and This Is What It Feels Like, and Famous, sorry. This is also the band's final release with Pete Natras on vocals, as they've literally just had a lineup change after they did Sharkfest. Oh. And Matthew Searle is now taking over on the vocal.
There you go.
All right, so which is kind of sad because one of my highlights I've got written down here is the unique vocals. Excellent songwriting throughout this. I thought everything built to a crescendo really nicely, and they did have these wonderful choruses and melodies sprinkled throughout, which I did find. I think the use of the little keys and these little parts was nice to add a little bit of shimmer and a little bit of sparkle and texture to it, and overall the way they used it throughout was nice. However, from start to finish, I thought it was a little formulaic.
I do understand that, yeah.
As a full listen, all the songs individually are fantastic, but as a solid piece, one block, I thought it was a little bit much. I thought, as a individual tracks to come on the shuffle is probably better. So probably... I found myself wandering a little bit, towards the end, and sounds very good, but highlights Show Me Now and Emergency, 8 out of 10.
Cool.
I thought it was interesting because this was on their Facebook page, how they were described.
Yep.
So Terminal Zero moves seamlessly from sonic blast to suspended silence, which I thought that's kind of interesting. With bone-crunchy guitars, seismic beats, driving an interplay between the perpetual bounce of electronic pop and melodic, angst-laden, geopolitical core of Peter Natras' vocals, this LA 4 piece carved out contemporary rock sound that lifts the room and moves the masses. And I thought that kind of sums them up pretty well for what you're listening to. I've never considered honesty when describing my own music, so I thought it was a different way to go.
I want to hear you do that. I want you to write that down.
It is very kind of new metal. I'm thinking kind of a Linkin Park.
I did get Linkin Park fans would enjoy this one, but it's not Linkin Park at the same time.
It's not a carbon copy, but so if you like them, you'd probably get into this.
It's a gateway band.
If you're a rusted on thrash metal guy, it's probably not going to hit you where you live. If you don't mind the electro and the use of the studio as well, you'll probably dig it. It was probably a little heavy-handed for me, but I always complain about these kind of things, so it's nothing new. It sounds huge, and I love the drum sound for the style, actually. I thought that really, really punched through nicely.
Cool.
I did too zone out a bit towards the end, but I put it down to me being an old man. But you're younger than me, so maybe that's not it. I gave it 7.5 out of 10. The highlights were Control, Streets of London, and Emergency.
This is very glossy, very modern. It's sort of heavy rock to metal, but in the modern style and tone. The fingerprints of D.W. Norton, I think, are all over this production-wise. I love the space in it. That was the cool part about the mix, is just how much atmosphere was developed on it. I know that some people do it, don't like the electronic side of it. For me, it really did expand what they could do sonically on this record. I thought it worked well. It's got a great combination of things like the over-the-top guitar being layered in, and it makes it all, the whole thing sort of sparkles really nicely. The bass and the drums also come through the front on this too, which is a good trick. It's a tight sort of, it's not snapped to the grid quite, but it's very tight at the same time. But it does flow well. The writing in conjunction with the performances is really fitting, and overall serves the album well. Tones are great, great lyrics as well. I like how they cut through and give you sort of the emotional side of things, like the conviction is there in the performance. You believe what's being told to you in the song. All that sort of stuff it's important for this sort of music. You can't phone this in, and they didn't. They did it well in that regard. If you don't like polished or modern rock to metal, you're not going to enjoy this one too much. But if you are interested in this style of music, then in a word, this is summed up by being just a beautiful record. I understand that the sort of dipping away of attention toward the end, because it can be a touch sort of samey, especially on repeat spins, but in a word, the whole thing as a listen is a beautiful thing to listen to. Well written, well performed, beautifully produced, excellently presented. I thought it's a good record. I really enjoyed this one. It'll be interesting to see where this band goes next, because like me, or like you guys, the vocals were a highlight for me on this. So having a change of vocalist, I wonder, because I think a lot of the songs were written with those vocals in mind, so what's going to happen next is going to be very interesting to see what happens in that regard. But for me, I think D.W. Norton has produced a better record here than he did with Super Heist, which is his own band. So go figure that one out. Might be a bit too polished for some, but for me it was pretty cool. I gave it an 8.5 out of 10. Drifting, Passenger, Happy Ever After, and Famous are my standouts. Check it out for yourselves. Let us know what you think.
Hi, welcome to this week's Gig Guide. I'm Jodie.
I'm Andrew, still working out a way to get Nikki involved in this again.
First off, I want to say a special thanks to Alt Cult, Rockstar Finance, Hydra Rehearsal Studios and Screen Printing for their support.
Thank you very much, and also make sure you look up the events online for more information if they interest you.
Kicking it off, November the 14th through to the 16th, Michael Sweet from Striper on his first ever solo Australian tour.
That's going to be cool. Thursday, November 14, I Don't Know, Danish, Invasion Skies and the Monaros are playing at Bombay Rock.
On Saturday, November the 16th, Blister Metal Festival at the Tote, number 5, featuring King, Elm Street, Harlot, Hadal, Moore, Envenomed, Demon Head and many, many more.
That's going to be cool. On the same night down in Moe, though, we have a special fundraising festival at the Moe Hotel, featuring Frankenbach, the 30-year reunion of Lethal Dose, Planet of the Apes, Cash, Maniacs, and many more. The proceeds from this event are helping young Saxon Wilson get special therapies to combat Cri-du-Chat syndrome.
Also, on the same night, Hellfire Records are putting on a gig at Young Street Supper Club, Club K Squad, Rapid Assault, Kings of Other Wings, and Rautism.
Yes. Got there in the end.
Got there in the end. Fell over a couple of times, but I got back up.
Thursday, November 21st, 16 by 9, Mr. Stitcher and City Sharks are playing at Bombay Rock as well.
On Friday, November the 29th, Bigger Than Jesus at Chasers in Melbourne. This is part of Chasers' 41st birthday celebration. Dang.
Yep. Saturday, November 30, Espionage are playing Evelyn Hotel, where they'll be filming their brand new video, along with support from Sabaya, Tyrant and Vicious Addiction.
Also, charity show Rockin' West Papa is at the Central Club Hotel, with 100% of the profits going to charity bands donating their time to play on this night, including Moonshifter, Vacant Image, Spook, The Banshee, Suburban Prophets, Monsteria, as well as a host of interstate bands as well.
A couple of charity events in this gig guide.
Yeah.
From now until December 21st,
so nice.
The Black Aces are on tour launching their new EP Never Change, playing central and regional locations across Victoria, ACT and New South Wales, and the EP is out now as well.
Awesome. Okay, December the 11th to the 15th, Marty Friedman is on tour, playing in Sydney, Brisbane, Canberra, and 2 shows in Melbourne with support from Trigger, Temptress, Wartooth, Matasphere, Hidden Intent, Demon Head, Espionage, and more.
Many more. Saturday, February 1st, 2020, Horsehead are playing a special one-night-only show at the Corner Hotel to celebrate the release of their Legacy box set, which is also out today, I believe, as this goes to air. So check it out.
Sweet. Now, as always, lineups and events are subject to change, so keep up to date with those that interest you via Facebook and hit us up via Facebook if there is something that you would like for us to plug on your behalf.
Indeed, please do. And again, special thanks to Alt Cult, Rockstar Finance, Hydra Rehearsal Studios and Squid Ink Screen Printing for their fantastic support.
Now it is time to go to a clip from the latest clip from Bigger Than Jesus. So check out My Life.
And as always,
drink up with your frock on.
Time for this week's classic review as voted by the audience. This is Queensryche with Operation Mindcrime. And yes, I know we've done it before. I know that everyone's fucking done this before, but it was the top vote, so it's going to get done again. 15 tracks for 59 minutes. The third studio album of the American band released May 1988 via EMI, produced by Peter Collins, recorded at, KGM and Victory Studios in Pennsylvania. 2 singles were released in Eyes of a Stranger and I Don't Believe in Love. Widely regarded as one of the greatest concept albums of all time. This peaked number 50 in the US, number 58 in the UK, along with numerous top 50s in Europe, Japan, and going platinum in the US. This rock opera follows Nicky as he becomes involved in a revolutionary cult. This is the return of the classic review as voted by the audience for the first time in a very long time. So, over to you.
Okay, yeah, this is an album I'd heard in the past, and it never really grabbed me. So this was like the first time I really sat down and listened to it.
Jimmy's going to want to shoot you.
Jimmy is going to want to shoot me, particularly in a minute.
Hello, here we go.
I know this album is worshipped by some of the THRS family, Jimmy. I like it, but I don't think it's overly amazing. It just doesn't do heaps for me. The story is clever and really well told, which can be very difficult in a musical format, as we know, but dare I say, King Diamond does it better.
That's the thing, isn't it? So does Arion for mine.
Jeff Tate has a great voice and he uses it well, but it can be a grating voice. For me, it's a bit like a Geddy Lee kind of thing. Like, yeah, it's good, it's got control, it's got it all, but it's not particularly pleasing to my ear. Musically, it's obviously incredibly well composed. Not trying to take anything away from anyone's performances on this album, because it is, it's bloody impressive, but I spent most of my time waiting for this thing to take off. And it just doesn't soar for me. It just sort of sits in the pocket and just sort of does its thing. As a work of art, it's quite brilliant, but for me, I just keep zoning out. If you love it, I'm sure you love it, but it'll never be on high rotation in my house. But I appreciate it for what it is. So I'll give it an 8 out of 10. The highlights are The Mission, The Needle Lies, and Operation Mindcrime.
Okay.
There are 3 categories of 80s metal.
Here we go.
Which is, there's the main...
From the young buck who wasn't there.
Yeah, there are 3 categories, let me tell you. There's the Iron Maiden Priest category.
Yep.
There's the Slayer Metallica category. And then there's these bands, which I always find a little bit hilarious.
Okay.
No, let me because there's the opening track to this album, right, which is this really sinister opening, and then there's this build-up track, the next track, and it builds up and it builds up and it builds up, and then the first proper song comes in, it sounds like fucking Real American. like
That's a little bit, actually.
You're right. It's like here's the thing, right?
From the massive wrestling fans, too.
Yeah, like it's a lot of it is just production. Guitar tones, drum tones, a fucking gated snare drum with muffling on it. Yeah, figure that one out. Muffling, gating, and reverb on a snare drum. Fucking Phil Collins.
Peter Gabriel.
Yeah, it's the riffs on this are really good, and the vocals are actually really fantastic. But unfortunately, like with a lot of these styles, production-wise, it does date it to a certain era.
It has marked it, yeah. This one it has.
And, these were the bands with the bigger budgets than the other bands that I mentioned from the other categories. And my guess is that that's what's influenced it, is that they've done what was popular in the day, which was the heavy reverb and the heavy chorus pedal on the guitars and all that stuff. And all it's done is it's just dated it to a certain time. And while these other bands became timeless, these bands, a band like Queensryche, they've got their place amongst their fans. But, a Jeff Tate show is not doing the numbers that Iron Maiden are doing these days, and it's largely because of the recordings, unfortunately.
That's a fair point.
Yeah, I think if you've grown up with this sort of stuff, and you probably appreciate it a hell of a lot more than I do. But like I said, there's actually some really good stuff on here, but unfortunately, I find that really grating. Mission for mine is the highlight, and 8 out of 10.
I'm in the unusual position of being on the panel, and I'm the only one that's reviewed this one before. And when I reviewed this, it was with Jimmy and I think Dave or Dennis. I don't know who else was on. Maybe both of them. I don't know. It's been a while. So for me, it's interesting to hear this feedback, because especially your review was exactly what I thought of on the first time I was listening to it. So now I'm getting to go back to it again and appreciate it after multiple listens with multiple years to sit with this album. So I guess in this regard, I'm the old one on this album that's had it a lot longer than you guys have had it. And this is an album that I think this whole review is going to prove to me that my initial thought on this was right, and that it's one of those ones where if it sits with you, it grows with you. But if it doesn't, if the first pass by today's standards is not going to grip you. And I think that's actually really interesting from my point of view, because you've heard all the shit that I could say about this record before. What I'm taking away from this is that, okay, what I thought to begin with is not just me. It's like, I liked it the first time. I gave it like an 8 or a 9 out of 10 the last time I listened to it. But now that I've heard it again, and I've allowed, it's a bit like a good wine where you sort of, or a good scotch, to sit with it for a while and you take it in a bit. That's what this album needs. You need to steep in it a little bit. Not that that's a sign of a great album. I understand that argument as well. That it's an album that it should grab you from the start and take you with it. But this is one of those albums where, if it's enough to get your attention and to get you to come back to it, the more you go back to it, the more rewarding the album will become. So I'm, I guess, the converted one in that respect. So for me, I was very much with you guys, where it was good, but not as highly regarded as it is. And yeah, I'll say things like Arion and King Diamond did better concept albums than this one here, but the execution of this album was fucking great. The production's great. All those things that, we could say all the great things, all the fans out there are saying, there's one half of the audience saying, these guys are right, it's not as good as people are cracking up to be. And there's the other side going, boo, this is one of the best albums of all time. I think it's up there after sitting with it for a lot longer than...
Really?
I think it's good. I think it's I underappreciated it to start with. So I've come away from the last time around going, hang on, my critiques on it, while they were valid, once you sit with it for a bit, they disappear.
It's got something there. Like, it's not complete trash. No,
Kevin,
but that's what I mean. Like, it's got there's substance there.
Yeah.
It's just getting past the tropes.
But when people say it's the greatest album of all time, and you can apply this to lots of things.
Anything.
You can apply it to Master of Puppets or Thriller or Back in Black or
There's
but generally you can hear those albums and go, okay, I hear why people think that, even if you don't necessarily agree. Dark Side of the Moon or anything like that. Yeah. This I struggle to find, because a lot of people think this is one of the greatest albums of all time.
Yeah,
and I struggle to.
I don't know if I'd go so far as to say it's one of the greatest of all time.
Yeah.
I don't think I'm in that camp yet, but I do certainly appreciate it a lot more than I did to begin with. Now, which is an interesting. I guess, it's a long-winded review, but it's not really a review at the end of the day. It's more me just saying, because I could say all the things that people love about this album. It's not like I have to fucking say anything new. But the thing about this is that for me, the story also becomes that little bit more pertinent as time goes on a little bit too.
Yeah, story's good.
So you age with the story a little bit, and so you sort of come back to it and go, they're onto something a bit intelligent here, and I think that was another gateway for me to really enjoy this a lot more, was paying... As opposed to listening to it and going, I'm being told all the time how good this fucking thing is by everyone around me, this is fucking great, and not being able to take it in on my own time, to now going back to it years later and going, on my own time, I'm able to sit here and go, okay, I'm not being forced to listen to this. It's audience polling is audience polling. It doesn't ever worry me. When I'm hearing Jimmy yell at me every week to fucking listen to his album, that's a different story, Jimmy. But for me, it was a cool growth in my appreciation of it, because it was like, okay, I understood where people who don't think it's the greatest thing of all time are, but now I also understand why people do think it is the greatest thing of all time. Not that I agree with it being one of the greatest of all time, but it's a fucking good record.
Right. Now we've got that sort of...
Yeah. In a very roundabout way. No, it's one of those things where if you were to ask anyone what their top 10 albums of all time would this album be on mine? No, it wouldn't be on my top 10 albums of all time. No. But I still rate it fucking highly. I think it's a good album. I gave it a 10 out of 10 because...
Wow.
it's grown to me that much. I gave it, like I said, an 8 or 9 before, and it's gotten better to me since then. And also, if I didn't give it a 10, probably someone like Jimmy would want to shoot me. Yeah. But for me...
Contractually obliged.
Just about. So I'm doing it to keep the peace. No, it is a genuine 10 out of 10 for me on the appreciation of it more now than I did on the last time. Like I said, I gave it a much lower score last time around. This time around, I got to appreciate it on a different level. I don't know why or how, but it's one of those albums where if it sits with you a bit longer, I think it will work with you. I don't know about you, you might be too young for it, but you were in the same era, so it might be one of those ones where if it grabs you a bit, and that's not to be fucking ageist and shit, I think there is actually a thing about...
Bastard.
I know, I'm such a prick. I think there is something about that. I think if you grew up with certain tones, things resonate with you differently than if you didn't grow up with it every day on the fucking radio.
Yeah, it's true. Like, I hear, as soon as I hear the gated snare drum, I tune out.
Yeah. Whereas that's all there fucking was for a very long time. So there is that effect on how you perceive things. And so for me, it did get better as I went along. So I gave it 10 and I picked Revolution Calling, Breaking the Silence, Spreading Disease. I thought that was very cool lyrically, especially. I don't believe in love, Operation Mind, Crime, but I think the best way to take this in is as a complete listen and to do it on your own time. Yeah. Not to worry about what everyone's telling you about this record. Sit with this one for a while, give it sort of 6 to 12 months with it, and see how you feel about it. But I'm curious to see how this one goes. So over to you. Let us know what you think, and we'll move along. Temple of the Dog, self-titled, 10 tracks for 55 minutes, the one and only album from the supergroup, formed to pay tribute to Andrew Wood, released April 1991 via A&M, produced by Rick Parasha and the band, recorded at London Bridge Studios in Seattle, which is weird. 3 singles were released in Hunger Strike, Say Hello to Heaven, and Pushing Forward Back. The album peaked number 5 in the US, number 11 in Canada, number 56 here in Australia. This is after its secondary push when they realised what they had with the collaboration of artists. While being certified platinum in the US, the lineup of this consists of members of Soundgarden, Pearl Jam, and Mother Love Bone, and is a Patreon choice for this month. So here we go.
Gonna get your money's worth tonight.
All right. I'm curious now.
This is great.
Here we go.
No, seriously, the most criminally underrated album of the grunge era.
Wow. Okay.
Seriously, I can understand why people won't like this because it's not really a grunge album.
Not a grunge record.
What they do is they take a lot from like Motown records, and that's where a lot of their vocal cues come from, and a lot of that shit. And it's very soulful, melancholy, break down into lovely crescendos, and it's just really bright and shimmery. It's an album to smoke a lot of pot to.
That's actually a very good point.
That's what this is. If you like, Dope Smoker by Sleep, then you should check this one out. If you're looking for, something to get going, nah, it's not for you. But this is brilliant. I absolutely love this. It's the musical equivalent of the Hangover Sleep-In. It's gorgeous. It's fantastic.
That's a great term.
Say Hello to Heaven and Call Me a Dog is the highlight. So that's 9.5 out of 10.
Wow. Okay. You going to rebut?
Sure. This is the 25th anniversary of this album.
Yeah.
I didn't get it back then. So it was interesting to go back to it now. I still don't fucking get it. This is the most drab and uninspiring piece of shit. It is really fucking boring. And it goes to show that the only reason this thing fucking sold in the first place is because they re-released it with stickers saying featuring Pearl Jam and Soundgarden.
Oh,
because before that, it sold nothing.
Yeah, that's
true.
And
that's exactly what it fucking deserved. If you've had a really good day, put this on. It'll ruin it. I guarantee it. Lyrically, it's depressing, and musically, it matches perfectly. It's just plotter after plotter. For the talent that's on show in this band, and here is Oodles, because I love Soundgarden.
I know you love Soundgarden. That's why I thought it'd be interesting to go with this one.
And Chris Cornell's voice is great, but the songs are boring, they're drab, depressing, and stupid. Give it a miss. It's a shocker. I gave it 4 out of 10 because I was actually feeling bloody generous. Hunger Strike is not a bad tune for radio, and that's about where it ends. Pushing Forward Back's okay, but it's boring.
I was going to say Hunger Strike's the most overrated track on the album.
Probably, but that's not saying much.
All right. This is my first time listening to this record, and it's not what I expected. I have not listened to this before now. This is not what you expect from the grunge era. You get the angst, which is half of the
There's
chorus.
plenty of fucking angst, yeah.
Oh, I am loving this because you got stuck into me after my review of the Soundgarden album that we did at Whole Lot of Love.
Yeah.
You didn't like my thoughts on that.
Yeah.
I like this. You can go and fuck off.
You like Alice in Chains, what do you know?
More than you.
Actually, that is a good barometer for
It is,
Temple of the
yeah.
Dog.
Actually, I think
There's
it's
a
you're-
sludge on this.
If you like the sludgy, slow stuff, this is for you.
Yeah. If not,
No. If you want more than that, then yeah, no, you're not going to get it. There is some rock in this, but it's also...
Where?
There is! Listen to it properly, fuckhead. No, but but this is more reminiscent of sort of like a rock lounge kind of a setting. If you think of the old MTV Unplugged but electrified, that's what this would be kind of fitting for. I know you... Oh, yeah, whatever, you're going to shake your head.
it's a Soundgarden 45 played on 33.
Yeah, but the thing is, right, this is better than the Soundgarden record that we did, and Chris Cornell is a highlight on this for me, where I didn't think his vocals were convincing on the album we did together before. So
You bad motor figure. He's so wrong.
I did.
Bad Motor is great.
Yeah. See?
Not that great.
Yep.
Fuck. I'll find some people out there that agree with me somewhere. You get some sludge to this, but it's much more. It is lounge and laid back, but it's more. But the jam band element of this is pretty cool as well. Eddie Vedder's vocals on this were pretty good too. I'm not the world's biggest fan of Eddie Vedder's vocals. I'm not the biggest fan of what Caesar is trying to accomplish right now either. But I thought the performances across the board were fantastic on this. Everything and everyone's captured and mixed really well. And you'll know they're going to go fucking everywhere in a minute, Tim. Caesar, what are you doing? Okay, there we go. Good boy. Yes, the performance is great. It might be a little bit sedate for some, clearly. But for me, it was a case of the emotion on display with the performance of it was really, really good. If you want something a bit different, more laid back, this is one for you for sure. If you don't want that, then it's going to lose you. It's not riveting, but it's very relaxing, which is kind of the point of this record. I think it wasn't meant to be like the rest of the grunge era stuff. Like, Chris Cornell was writing this stuff when he was on tour with Soundgarden. He wasn't trying to record another Soundgarden album. He wanted to do something completely different, and he got that. I think it worked.
He sure did.
I thought it was good. It does meander a bit, but it's a pleasant kind of a journey to take. I gave it an 8.5 out of 10. Your Saviour, Times of Trouble, and Reach Down. So I think we've got completely confused on the crossover there. But anyway, check it out for yourselves and let us know what you think. While the dogs continue to run riot, we have Firebreather with Under a Blood Moon. 6 tracks of 48 minutes, the second album the Swedish band released September 2019 via Riding Easy Records. Produced by Oscar Carlson, recorded at Elementon Studio in Gothenburg. 2 promo tracks have been released in Closed Gate and Dancing Flames. This is the band's first album with Axel Wickbeck on drums and is our random Spotify find for the week.
Right on. Doom's never really been kind of my favourite thing, and after listening to this, it still isn't.
Tim's probably going to love this record.
That being said, it's done pretty bloody well. It's very heavy, very, very sludgy. Not the kind of thing you're going to get naked and dance around the lounge room to. More the kind of thing you're going to be tied to the back of a ute and dragged slowly up through the mud. It's probably the best way I can describe it. It's sludge. It is a bit relentless. It is a bit monotonous, but Doom stuff often is.
It is, yeah.
But like I said, it is done pretty well. If Doom's your thing, you'll probably like it. It was hard for me to get over it. I got a bit bored, but it was kind of like hard work. I didn't want that. So I gave it 6 out of 10. The highlights were Closed Gate and Firebreather.
All right.
Yeah, very big, chunky stoner metal. Very sleep inspired. I think that's if you like. No, there's a band called Sleep.
Yes, there is.
There's a band called Sleep. It released an album called Dope Smoker, with a title track that goes for 20 minutes.
Right.
This band is.
Garden of Eden is
Yeah.
out there too.
I'd say this band is very sleep inspired. If that's your thing, check it out. If not, stay away. I did like, there were little bits of variety in there if you're into the style. Like there was some sort of vocal lines that sort of reminded me a little bit of Crowbar and that kind of thing with that little rhythmic kind of stuff going in there. And you had that kind of vocal tone as well. The way I've described this is it's... I don't know if I look at my notes.
If you can get to them.
Yes, it's sludgier than Bogzilla, but more stoner metal than Neurosis.
Yeah.
And it's that little middle ground there.
I don't even know what any of those words mean.
Right. If you understand the language I'm just speaking, then you'll probably enjoy it.
Dragged ass backwards through the mud reference was a bit more.
If you don't understand the words I'm saying, then listen to his review and you'll enjoy it a little more.
The review of the album.
Both. Actually, we had the same highlight though. Closed gate. 8 out of 10.
There you go.
All right. Well, there you go. It's a trifecta on the highlight track. The shortest song on this release is 6 minutes and 48 seconds, so settle in. Long compositions that, is that whole fuzzy, doomy, stoner rock kind of record. Very dark, very fuzzy. The tones are certainly, typical for the style of music. Combine that with almost black metal vocals, though, and you get something that's just a touch different on this release. The interesting thing about this one in particular was how the drums cut through on the mix. I thought that particularly the toms and the snare, they use that well. Like, I don't normally get into the style of music, and I'm not sitting here as a convert to the style of music, but hearing a lot more of this genre, you notice the differences that come through, and the drumming on this was, okay, new member, and they've made a statement with the new member on that part of it. Around that, the top end is all fucking washed out and all that sort of stuff, as you expect. But the guitar and bass rumble through it all nicely in sync with each other, and that leaves the vocals to sort of just echo around and do their thing while Caesar does his thing. There's little to no melody here aside from riffs, which are the backbone of this release. The light and shake come from the use of solos on this. Around the sludge, they cut through pretty nicely. The tone isn't as overdriven as a lot of the other stoner rock kind of records are, which I thought was refreshing to me because I do get tired of the heavily overdriven fuzz guitar. It's like, enough of that. They dial it back a bit on this one, which is cool. And the vocals coming through with the reverb, and that made it all a bit sort of more atmospheric than a lot of it, and gave it more to play with. Even though the songs are more drawn out and the album as such is more drawn out in that term of things than what I traditionally like, there is a lot of, like, the definitive differences between the songs stood out, because a lot of the stoner rock kind of stuff, I sit there and go, okay, I can't tell one song ends, the next one begins. This one you can, and it's pretty clear. That, or I'm hearing a lot more of it and I'm getting used to it. I don't know which one it is. But it's more interesting. This one was one of the more interesting ones in this area of music for me. It offers a few points of difference and doesn't just fall back onto the tropes that are typical of the genre. It's pretty cool. If you're not a fan of this style, this probably won't change your mind, but there are maybe a few points of interest here that might be enough to sort of get you curious about it. We have an 8 out of 10. I picked Closed Gate and Our Souls They Burn as my standouts. Check it out for yourselves. Let us know what you think. Alright, well, Brendan explores new musical ventures with using Caesar's Backbone as a, bongo set. We're going to wrap up this week's episode. Details are at the bottom of the screen as usual, so please make sure you're following our social media channels, especially go onto YouTube to check out all the extra stuff that doesn't make it to TV every week, and listen to
THRS Radio. Best radio station around.
For now. We are switching into podcasting and that sort of stuff, and we get the new website all worked out, so there's a lot of changes coming through in that regard, so listen to it while you can, because we're going to be doing some changes there. At the end of the month is our celebration of bands that have toured here special, so make sure you tune in for that. It'll be all about bands that have toured here. We'll just pick one band from each month and one album from those bands and just sort of go for it and see what happens.
Cool.
Christmas and all sort of stuff is not too far away either, so hopefully you'll look after yourselves. But now it's time for our favourite part of the week, and that is the bin. So what have you got for us, Brendan? Your first time in a while. What do you got to vent?
Oh, GWS is still in there.
Yes. They're not getting out.
We're really backing over this one for about the 17th time. Mm-hmm. Triple M can go in the bin.
Is this because of the new digital station?
Yeah, they did the hard and heavy station. I was like, finally, at least, there might be something. And they played nothing but Metallica for a month.
And now they're asking for everyone to tell them what local bands I should put on there.
Are they?
Yeah, they are, apparently.
Ooh, right. I like Metallica, but...
Not a month straight.
No, fuck. Like, you could have called any of us. We could have put a playlist together in 15 minutes, would have filled out a month.
Ooh, fuck yeah.
Was it a month of Nothing Else Matters?
No, there was all sort of live shit. Anyway, fuck you. Get it right.
It's a niche bin, but that fucking Hell in a Cell finish. You fucking DQ a Hell in a Cell? What the fuck?
Yep.
The old man's got to go. Like, Jesus.
WWE in the bin. AEW is where it's at, people. Yes, we are closet wrestling fans. Not even that. We're not
New Japan Pro Wrestling as well.
AEW at the moment for me. I was into TNA for a while, but I was WCW before that, and WWE can just go and get fucked. My bin is going to be the serious one of the week, as it always is, and that is not so much the debate around climate change, because whether you believe it or not, that's not the point. You're an idiot if you don't, but it's not the point.
So it's partly the point.
No, but my point is actually about the conversation around it and how we have people protesting and how it's all about how the protesters are such bad people and how they should have their welfare taken away if they're protesting. Dickheads! Let's actually talk about the problem that's causing the protest as opposed to making the fucking protesters demons, which they're not. They're exercising a democratic right which is important to society. I wouldn't want to live in a world where you can't protest. That's kind of terrifying. And if Dutton has his way, that's what'll happen. Fuck off. Let's make the conversation about the issue, not about the people raising the issue. It's more important, and that way you might actually, stop people protesting if you fix the problem to begin with. Just a thought. Just
crazy.
I know. Crazy. Logic, right? Yeah. Who the fuck would have thought of that? Anyway, that's us for this week. Check us out in a couple of weeks with an all episode, and next week will be a takeover episode, if I'm correct. I don't know. At the end of the month, we'll be here for our touring band special anyway. So until then, I'm Andrew.
I'm Tim.
I'm Brendan.
As always,
drink up.
Rock on.
Hey!
It's been a while.
We're rusty.
Bloopers are coming up right around the corner. Before we get to those, just want to say a very quick thank you to our Patreon supporters, our Funk Dancing for Self-Defense, Eat the Damn Orange, Andrew M, Craig S, Greg B, Kaz B, and Tim C. Thank you for your support. Now enjoy the outtakes.
Hello there.
There's a beer.
Big furry barrier.
Get your bum.
Hello. Hi.
Hello. Fucking tree with 4 legs. Hey, happy? Go on, sit.
I've been walking every morning with a couple of mates of mine. They've got a Doberman. He's only like 8 months old.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so he's a big beast now, but he's just clumsy and still puppy,
Yeah.
Fucking hell, it's hard work. Because he jumps on you, bang, fucking... Gorgeous dog, that.
He almost went through a wall before we moved.
Really?
Yeah.
Like from over there, and they're going with, where's my drink?
Right here. He's like, what do I do?
Right on.
Did you want to see the clap
Comments
back?
on YouTube about YouTube.
Did you want to see the clap back from Dope?
No, I heard about it.
So, because Rob Flynn wrote, like, who the fuck listens to Dope anyway?
And Dope had outsold them. Like,
Yeah, Dope put up the Spotify plays of
Yeah.
Dope and Machine Head, and Dope actually have more plays than Spotify. It's like, checkmate.
This is where, the old ABC fun fact is still important in today's world. How the fuck do you cock that up? Going off half
because
cocked is
if you-
not a good idea.
Not many Machine Head fans will listen to Dope.
No, but even
It doesn't mean no one listens.
No, but even as an
Dope.
outsider, you'd think more people would listen to Machine Head than Dope. Dope.
I don't know Dope. I can't.
But Dope are a new metal band from 20 years ago.
Machine Head
are
aren't
quite
that.
outsiders, though. I mean,
No, but Machine Head had a relevant album this decade.
they did.
Ooh, which
The
one?
Locusts.
I never heard.
Oh, man, the Bleeding Red was when they peaked as far as popularity and notoriety went, and no one, and the old school fans didn't like that album, but that was the one that broke them.
Hot topic: Machine Head.
Are they good or are they shit? And who's better, Dope or Machine Head?
And fuck Rob Flynn.
Fuck Dope as well for that matter. Who gives a shit? Oh.
Moving on.
All right, to Warbirds.
Okay.
All right.
Think Anth will be happy with that.
Fucking better be. That was interesting. Temple of the Dog. Now this will be interesting.
Yes, it will. You first, Timmy.
All right. Here we go.
Fucking hell, dog.
He has got his money's worth out of that. As Craig.
Come on, go get your bet.
Come on, over there, on your bed.
In your bed.
Bed. Come on.
Dad.
That's his bed. He's put his head in my lap and he's like, nap time,
Bed.
night time.
Is it dinner time?
It's past dinner time.
Oh, it's past dinner time.
Come on, bed.
We got one more.
Come on.
Knock this episode off. Feed the dogs.
They didn't get breakfast till late, so they can
Tough
do
it.
Yeah, they can do for another hour.
Oh,
I have
God.
no words. what this is right now. All right.
Come on.
What is this?
It's quite a big puppy. It's hungry puppy. Cool.
Time for a bin.
Bin closed. Pee break.
Dog in the bin at the moment.
You going in the bin, dog?
You gotta fit
in
in
the fucking bin.
Go in the bin.
Dog,
What are you doing?
come here. Come here. Just like...
Just want some attention.
He's not normally this intent.
And smelly belly.
Normally he's... Uh-huh.
Yeah,
There
agreed.
is no Dana, only Zool.
Sounds like Fire Breather.
That little huff at the end was fucking...
Yeah, it sounds like Fire Breather. It's been a while.
We're rusty.
It's been a while. It's been a while. Hold my head up high.
It's been a while.
Since I could call you.
Oh, fuck. That seat gets hard on the freckle after.
Would you like me to incorporate some cushions into
Nah, it's all
comfort?
good. It's all
I'll
good.
get you a donut.
I want the old man. I want the comfy chair.
Which one?
Anyone.
The
The old man comfy chair.
old lazy boy.
And an old rocking chair.
Oh, look. Sun's out. Not a cloud in the sky.
Welcome to Melbourne.
Melbourne.
A little bit of bubbly.